Yeah, I'm Len High School from Camp Base, and I agree with the whole premise of doing the national convention every other year and doing a regional on the off years. I think there's a lot to be gained from the regional type meetings versus the national meeting. The nationals are getting very expensive. They're very difficult to put together by the local basis. We're not qualified to do this. We need to go out and seek some guidance from professionals. We did that in San Diego for next year. We've been working on it for a year now, and we're still a year away, but there's a lot of work to do. I don't think that the basis should be divorced from any activity associated with it. When it goes into a city, I think the basis can do a lot of legwork, but I think all the responsibility and the guidance should come from national. I think the money from the convention should go to national rather than the base, but I think national should return to 10% of the base rather than the way it is now, where we collect the money and we give national 10% for doing nothing. So anyway, that's I really support that. I think that's the way to go.
Thanks, Len. Anybody else?
Yes.
Come on up here. We're going to try and limit this a little bit. So you got 2 minutes, and I will tap you on the ear with my stick.
All right. I'm Wayne Stanton, I'm the base commander for Dallas. Basically, what he said is what I've been preaching to my men down here for probably the last 2 years as we got closer to this reunion. You start out when you bid on one of these reunions, you got all these dollar signs in your eyes. Boy, the base is going to make a ton of money. You get down inside that year to go, and you lay in the bed at night and you stare at the ceiling and you wonder if you're going to break even. Because if you don't, it's going to come out of your base funds. These things are getting, like he said, they're getting very expensive. It just sounds like he attended one of our meetings and heard what we've been talking about. The only thing I want to add to that is and I know this involves a whole lot, it is the time of year that we have the convention. We need to get out of the hurricane season. What I did with my boat reunions with Trigger, I moved them to April, May. We got completely away from the hurricane season. Our attendance went up. The expense goes up a little bit. It's averaged about 8 to 10% on hotel bills because you're moving from a non-tourist type of year up to the tourist type. But that's what I want to add to, if possible. Now I know our elections are tied to when we have the convention at the present. Is that not correct? Now that would have to be addressed, but I believe it could be worked out. But just take this thing, move it completely out of this hurricane season. We've got a lot of members down there that would like to be up here right now, and they couldn't make it. I mean, it really disrupted it. And on our end, it was a great disruption.
Thank you, Wayne. Goomba, you had your hand up next.
John Carson, follow-up, was base commander at Broad Base for 9 years, and I keep hearing that we should have conventions every other year. What it takes to do that is somebody needs to submit a change to the Constitution and bylaws, the rules that Mike discussed, because until that change is approved by the membership, we're doing them every year. Okay, so if we really seriously think that we should do conventions every other year, then we have to get the membership to vote on it. And the only way they do that is by somebody submitting a change to the Constitution and bylaws. Notice I didn't need a mic.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you, John. Bill?
I think John Markovich and the board
This is
yesterday.
Bill Lee from Live Base, Internet Base. You recognize the hat.
Okay, this is my hat. John had made a real good comment. John probably belongs, as it said, to more organizations than any of us. And in his opinion, and I think what would be good is maybe to see if he could run some studies to show us when you start going from every year to every other year, what happens is you end up with less people going, not more, because they get out of the habit, they get other commitments. So before we decide that this way is better or that way, and we've got the time period to do it because of having to make changes, I think one of the things that we should look at is would it really benefit us from a member standpoint, from getting more people with reunions and stuff? Or would we do it for a couple of times and find out we've lost a bunch of people that we wanted to have? And that's just one consideration. And those, we could do some looking and see if there aren't some figures out there of groups that did it and how it resulted. But his opinion was it didn't gain, it actually lost.
Thank you, Bill. I do have a comment on that. Hang on, I'll give you just a second. The comment or the thought is to have a regional on the odd years. So we still got to get together, it's just at a regional level. And we're kind of a different breed of cats than some other organizations. We're smaller than they are, we're boat sailors, that's a major difference. And it may not affect us quite like it does them. The other thing is that we appear to have a national magazine that, you know, kind of sews us together every now and then. People tend to read that. And so the word gets out. People know it's not something they're going to forget. But it should be investigated. So anywhere we can find that out, I think we should take a look at it if that's available. You're up. Yes, Gil, Commander Shedder.
You had it right, Gil.
Commander, what?
You're proposing a national convention every other year with a regional convention on the odd years. Does that also mean a regional every 2 years?
Yes.
And instead of every year?
Right.
The regions better consider if that's what they want to do or not.
That's true. A whole lot of this needs to be cussed and discussed in the back.
John Sherman, Buffalo base. Sounds like we got some good questions for the National Opinion Poll.
I would agree with that. That's what those bulletin boards are for. Yes, sir.
Doc Swinney from USS Florida base of Florida. We're hosting our regional convention in April next year, and we combined with the state of Florida, World War II, U.S. submarine veterans with us. So we'll have 8 states on our side and the entire state of Florida. Just a matter of getting together and talking to them in a respectful way and just saying, hey, it's the same hotel price, and you all are welcome to come to this thing, by the way.
That's great. There has been a lot of movement in a lot of places. We had a regional in Laughlin last year that was superb. We tried to do it again. Unfortunately, it was in New Mexico, and some of the prices changed in the process, and it didn't quite work out. The one we had in Laughlin was a barn burner. So, you know, you do what you can do. Do you have something to say?
I'm Butterbean from Tar Heel Base. It's been pointed out to me that we have the national and then the regional, the national, the regional. And I'm kind of in favor of that myself, but it's been brought up line that if you go split them like that, your World War II guys are not coming together each year collectively. For the ones that can make it, I guess, I suppose. You see what I'm going with?
Yeah, but they are not going to have an organization to do it at all. They'll either come to ours or they won't go anywhere.
Yes, I just brought that up.
Right. Exactly. And it doesn't mean that you couldn't do a regional every year. And district reunions are a good thing as well. Not trying to limit it in the discussion. The discussion is really on the national conventions. That's the important thing. Can we afford to do it every year? And we've got some people that, you know, want to do it every year, and some people think it ought to be put off. So it's a discussion item and needs some investigation. Okay, I think we'll wrap that one up, and we'll get some of that on the bulletin board. Take a look at it, and let's get more input on it. And National is sort of hearing about it at this moment in any case, but we're going to take it to them and look right dead in the eye and tell them what we